Good afternoon. Welcome to the Bloomington Rotary Club's weekly celebration of service. I'm Steve Wicks, and I'm honored to serve as your president this year. Please silence your electronic devices. On this day in history, June 16th, 2024, 105-year-old Virginia Hislop graduated with a master's diploma in education from Stanford University, 83 years after she had to leave early. Hislop had completed her coursework, but had not finished her thesis when she left school to marry her boyfriend, who had been called to serve in World War II. In honor of Flag Day and this week's Juneteenth holiday, please stand if you are able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Judy Schroeder will share a reflection.
Hello. When I signed up to do the reflection, I didn't know the topic of today's meeting was going to be senior reminiscence. This is what the reflection is, so we're getting a kind of a jump start on it. May 5th, 1987 was my 46th birthday. It was also the day that I read in the Herald Telephone that the United States Supreme Court had decreed women had to be allowed to join Rotary clubs in the United States. I thought. A month after that, Rotary International passed a decree allowing women to join clubs in the United States. And in 1988, Rotary International extended that to Canada. And in 1989, they extended it nationwide. I mean, worldwide. Well, early in 1988, my graduate school buddy, Kent Owen, who once described himself as the entire left wing of the Monroe County Republican Party, asked me whether I'd be interested in joining Rotary. I knew nothing about Rotary, but I did know about the Supreme Court. So I said, does Rotary discriminate against people on the basis of race or religion? And that's when Kent explained to me the international part, that there were members of all races and all religions. So I said, okay. I didn't hear anything more until he called and invited me to an induction at the Poplars where this club then met. I got there and Charlotte Zitlow, Joyce Poling, and I were inducted, bringing the grand total of Rotarians in this club to 6. Also inducted was Bob Salzberg, who had refused invitations until such time that women were admitted. Bud Core was the president of the club at that time, and Bud was also CEO of Bloomington Hospital, in that he really spearheaded this club's involvement in Polio Plus. This club in 1988 pledged $100,000 towards Polio Plus. Well, Bud called me after my induction, and I saw that the club was in trouble. They had just inducted someone whose salary was $25,000 a year, a single mom whose elder son had just finished his freshman year of college, and her younger son was a junior in high school. But I decided I'd be the best Rotarian I could be in ways that didn't cost money. There's lots you can do. You can be a member of a committee, you can community service projects, you can sponsor a Rotarian. I was even able to host members of the group study exchange because I had empty beds in my house. Well, this club has changed a lot. I've changed a lot. Rotary International has changed a lot in the last 38 years. But I'm still very proud to be a Rotarian. Now, 20% of members worldwide are women, 33% in the United States, and 40% in this club. You could, hey, don't clap too loudly. There's a club in Bloomington, Illinois that has 55%. You might say that the Supreme Court caught my attention, but Rotary has held my heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. And you're still giving today. You're working, volunteering at the front desk this morning, so thank you. Peggy Frisbee will introduce our guests today.
Good afternoon, everyone. As I say your name, would you please rise so we can recognize you? That means the guests. Okay. First of all, we have, actually, it's going to be our speaker, Phil Eskew, and also, well, that's wrong. Ann is the speaker. So let's recognize Phil. Okay. Okay, I'll get better here. We also have Brett Becker, guest of Wendell St. John. We have Bill Nihill, guest of Phil Eskew. April Settles from Old National Bank, guest of John Zodi. Becky Wan, guest of Brad Meyer. Betty Coffey, guest of Glenda Murray. Ed Ryan, guest of Steve Engel. Two more. Felix Breeden, guest of Mike Wade. I think two more. And Frida Cruz, guest of Tyler Martin Nichols. If you are having a good time today, which we have all the time, want to know more about Rotary, Please ask anyone at your table or certainly our fearless leader over here.
Thank you, Peggy. Lori, do we have any guests online?
We do not have any identified guests today. Thank you.
Birthdays and anniversaries. We have a number to celebrate since we're having the picnic next week. I went ahead and did 2 weeks worth. So on the 20th of June, 3 Rotarians, Marshall Goss, Jim Harvey, and Peter Kroner. On the 24th of June, a young man sitting over at that table, John Hobson, has a birthday. And then on the 25th, Alan Boyd. Also have a number of anniversaries. On the 18th, Martha Wales, 13 years with the club. On the 20th, Forrest Gilmore and Amy Kendall, both 3 years with our club. On the 22nd, sitting over at the main desk, Amy Osajima, 9 years with Rotary Club. On the 23rd, Ashley Wesley, 11 years. And then finally on the 27th, Hannah Hirsch, 3 years. Announcements. So many of you have signed up to help for a weekly meeting during the next quarter. There's still more slots to fill. Our new president, Tracy, doesn't want to do everything herself. So please sign up. Roundabout is the best way to do it. Just look for the link in the roundabout. Our host last Tuesday, the Neil Marshall Black Culture Center, is a co-sponsor for the City of Bloomington Juneteenth celebration. Takes place from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Friday, June 19th at Switchyard Park. So there'll be the usual Friday food trucks. There'll be family-friendly activities, a beer garden, multiple musical performances. It should be a fun time. Next week, reminder, we will not be here. This is one of the weeks when the union is fully booked. So we've scheduled our club picnic, and it will be from noon to 1, Bryan Park Woodlawn Shelter. So please join us. Fourth announcement, Jill Jolloff has accepted our offer to fill the open executive assistant position. She plans to start at Thursday's Board of Directors meeting. Tyler is still here. I haven't run him off yet, but you still have time, Tyler. Lots more announcements. We're running a little bit short on time, so please check the roundabout for the other announcements. And now Alan Barker will take us through Bloomington Rotary Foundation's annual meeting.
Thank you, President Steve. Hi, everybody. It's great to see you all. And I've got Ron Barnes here, who's going to be stepping into the same role. I am the current president of the Bloomington Rotary Foundation. How many of you are very clear about the distinction between Bloomington Rotary Foundation and the International Rotary Foundation? Okay, so you know the difference between the two. Fantastic. Good. So I'm here. What's that? About 50% of us know about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a quick slide deck here. Let's see if I've got here we go. I've got this. So I'd like to be able to just sort of distinguish exactly, well, to identify and confirm exactly what the foundation is. So the foundation is a 501c3 corporation. That is a corporation that can receive funds that in many instances are tax deductible, but I won't go into exactly how and why because I'm not a lawyer or an accountant. So, but it is a 501c3 and that distinguishes itself from the club, which is a 501c4 corporation. So the Bloomington Rotary Club is a social welfare organization, 501c4, and the foundation that we have, that we run, that all of you are members of, is a 501c3 that is specifically designed to support the good work of our organization. So it's supporting charitable work of the club. And for that matter, we also provide services to the other two Rotary clubs in Bloomington. It's a membership organization. As I mentioned, all of us are automatically members of the organization. We have a very capable board that is made up specifically of club members. So that's just wanted to be clear about exactly what it is. It does have history, and I want to thank Sally Gaskell for putting together this PowerPoint here. We were founded in 1986 and have done some really spectacular work along the way, including supporting Teachers Warehouse as it was formed in 2004. With the Rotary Toast, we are the entity that receives the funds and then distributes the funds for the Rotary Toast. And then we have the 80/20 fund that was established in our centennial year. Was it Mike Baker? Who was it who did that? Lawrence Snyder? We'll remember who it is. Was anyway, basically it's $20 a quarter that goes towards the foundation to support its work, and it's $80 a year. And then I'm going to be talking about the Fountain of Youth campaign that was initiated by Lawrence Snyder in 2022. We are primarily focused in the foundation on supporting the scholarship initiative. We distribute 4 high school scholarships and then 3 scholarships to Ivy Tech every year. It's a spectacular, as you well know, it's a spectacular project. And the endowment, when we talk about the Bloomington Rotary Foundation, the foundation runs an endowment through the Bloomington Monroe Community Foundation, and the funds that are invested in that endowment are specifically designed to support the scholarship activity of the organization. So just be clear in your minds that the endowment is about scholarships. We also receive funds from the district. To support the district grant, we receive funds to support community projects. And then there are other individual passion projects that we've run related to international work or the refugee work that we do, that we've also circulated funds through the foundation. So the foundation functions as the recipient of gifts that you give for the good work of the club. And so the only distinction I want to make here is that specifically in relation to the scholarships, a portion of the funds that go into scholarships come from an endowment that we're building. Okay, any questions? Are we good? Good about that? District grant match, we support that. And I've mentioned the Rotary Toast. So moving along, I want to talk now about an announcement that we're essentially going to be making. So in 2022, Lawrence Snyder had this, in consultation with members of the club, had this vision for what he called Fountain of Youth. And that is that our endowment was sitting at about 110,000 or something like that. And he said, wouldn't it be amazing if together as a club, we developed the funds to be able to get to, was it 50,000? Oh, wow. Okay, well, we started at 50,000. So that's a very important correction there. So in 2022, we started at $50,000 in our endowment. And Lauren said, wouldn't it be amazing if we together over the next, between 2022 and 2030, develop the funds and support that would get us to $200,000 so that we could endow those $200,000 and then get, 4% a year, which is, I believe, somewhere around $8,000 to support in perpetuity the scholarship program. Now, I'm here to say today that we've met that goal. And which is absolutely incredible. And Sarah Laughlin and Sally Gaskell are the 2 people who have done most to really get us to where we are. So I want to congratulate the 2 of you. Yeah. Yeah. So what's great about that is we have, I think it's like in the endowment, I had a look at it the other day and I can't remember what the figure was something like $198,000 in the endowment right now. In addition to that, we have pledges that go well beyond the amount that would amount to 200,000. So as you well know, the scholarship program this year elevated the support for high school students to $2,500 a piece. I believe that it was at $1,000 before then, right? It's been slowly moving up. It was 800, then it went to 1,000 and 1,500, and now it's $2,500 times 4. So we believe that the scholarship support that we give these high school students as well as Ivy Tech is transformational, highly impactful, and we want to be able to continue to do that down the road. So if you are inspired to support this Fountain of Youth project and you feel that there's an opportunity to continue to give to the endowment, please feel free to do so. You can either do so by contacting Ron Barnes, who will be in my position, or anybody on the foundation board, or you can actually go to the Bloomington Monroe County Foundation website, log in there, and then give a gift directly to the Rotary Club through that portal as well. So there's a way, or you could talk to them. So So that's how to support the Bloomington Rotary Foundation. I've spoken about the 2080 fund. So basically, if you would like to enter into that, please speak to Steve or anybody there. If you'd like to donate to the Fountain of Youth program, if you'd like to donate cash for projects that you support directly, or make a bequest as you think about your giving long term. And then we also have a memorial fund that we have in the foundation. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the reason why we're here today. We're going to be, first of all, thanking the previous board members. You can see them up here. Those with asterisks are actually rolling off the board. They've timed out. Want to thank Sarah Laughlin, Sally Gaskell, Hank Walter, and John Weichart very much for their service. Thank you very much. And this, I'm pleased to say, is the slate for this year. We've got Ron Barnes, who's going to be stepping in as president of the foundation, Amy Osajima, who's going to be vice president. Our secretary will remain as Sarah Laughlin. We've got Don Cedar coming in as treasurer, and then myself, John Zodi, will stay on. Can I just take 1 second? John Zodi, where are you? Please stand up, and can we thank you for all the work that you've done as treasurer for this year? Yeah. He has done an extraordinary job. Then we've got Jerona Rotich, Jim Capshew, Mike Wade, Jeff Richardson, and Carol Ann Hosler. So with that, I would like to open up, if anybody would like to move that we accept the slate and vote on it. So moved by Tracy Jovanovich, seconded by Steve Wicks. And I would like to ask you all to say aye if you support the slate. Those in favor, say aye. And anybody against the slate? Anybody online? Congratulations, we have a new board. I would like to anticipate this year by thanking Ron for being president of the board this coming year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan, for that happy report. Rotarian Phil Eskew will introduce today's speaker.
How many of you were at the Christmas party at the country club 7 years ago when I talked about Anne's Christmas miracle? Do you remember that story? Well, today you have Anne. Anne started her education at Purdue in nursing school for 1 year. Purdue was not accredited as a nursing school at that time, so she transferred to Indianapolis to the IU nursing school. She got her bachelor's, she got her master's. She's a pediatric nurse practitioner. Went to St. Vincent, spent 25 years in education, which means you educate all new nurses, teach them how to do new techniques in pediatrics and the neonatal intensive care unit. From there, she went to IU Health North in Carmel, helped open that hospital, and then she served as the interim chief nursing officer. From there, she went down to Riley and was a head of neurological services for Riley Hospital in several different areas. Because of us moving to Bloomington, she applied and was chosen, and she is the director of Women and Children's Services and served here until she retired in the year 2020, 1 week before the pandemic shut everything down. She has a passion for people with dementia because both of her parents had dementia. Her father had Alzheimer's and her mother passed away of Lewy body dementia. So we now live in Bloomington. She is currently the secretary of the Bloomington Sunrise Club and a fellow Rotarian. And last year she was Rotarian of the Year, but she didn't quite make it this year. So please welcome my wife, Anne.
Thank you, Phil. That was nice. And as you heard, the majority of my career has been in pediatrics. So my biggest passion did come from my parents. And I've been doing a lot of reading, research on dementia, as well as the different forms of dementia-related diseases. Phil mentioned that my dad had Alzheimer's, but my mom developed Lewy body dementia, which is far more intense than watching your dad pass away. So I've started doing the making memories and benefits of reminiscing in senior adulthood. When I look at the group, I initially started off with this thinking that the majority of people in here were of retirement age, but I see that's not true. But even for the younger people that haven't quite reached that point in your lives yet, you probably have been touched by grandparents or parents that are in early stages of having some memory issues. I think many of us go through what's the name of that or what's the name of this, but just keeping that in mind, it's not totally about those of us that have reached older adulthood, which is what I like to call it, as opposed to being a senior citizen. So, who are we? Many of us are Rotarians. We're all men and women. Many of us are 65 years of age or older. And again, that's where the senior citizen comes in. That's the actual definition of senior citizen. A few statistics as well as information that I'll share in regards to being in an aging society. Approximately 17.5% of Indiana's population is over the age of 65. Projections show that by 2030, and that's only 4 years out from here, 20.1% it will increase, with 85-year plus people growing the fastest. So we're all in that aging population, and we're all staying a little bit more healthy and also getting older and older. Life expectancy of a 65-year-old male is 83 years versus that of a female that's 86 years. In Indiana, we have, as well as in other states, very different county variations. The highest life expectancy is in the county of Hamilton, up in north of Indianapolis in the Carmel Fishers areas, and the life expectancy is 81 years versus that of those in Scott County down near Madison of almost 73 years. So a big difference. And you look at the populations in those areas and what they're doing. Projections show that 65-year-old men and women, a non-smoking couple in relatively good health, will have at least one of those partners living to the age of 92. So we're going to be around a while. And what can we do for our minds as we age? I know John mentioned taking a walk down memory lane, and that's truly what I'm going to do with all of you today. And hopefully you get some tips and some points that you can share with your families, your spouses, your kids, of things that they can even do. I hope our children are doing some of these for families, for their kids to come as well. Remember all the good times, but also the bad, because those truly do impact our lives and how we deal with our lives down the road. Memories and nostalgia let us help resolve issues that we've had in our lives, come to an understanding of it, and also look at the negative as well as positive emotions and understanding our lives moving forward. Did I skip? Nope. This is from 1941. Phil had one of those lovely birthday cards that goes through everything that happened in that year. You've probably all seen those. This one in 1941, life expectancy was about 63 years. A new house cost $4,000. New car, $850. Yes, wow. Look at the young man saying wow up here. Gas was 12 cents a gallon. It's coming down, though, I understand. So that's a good thing. Eggs were 20 cents a dozen. Bread was 8 cents, and milk was 54 cents a gallon. So lots of changes since 1941. Some of the challenges that we have with our growing population today in Indiana is that the median household income is approximately $50,000. Cost of living is 15% below the national average. In Indiana's sales tax is among the highest in the nation. Our state's overall healthcare system for seniors is average at best. And this little stat I threw in here between 2020, remember the pandemic had hit, and 2022, firearm deaths in our state were higher among men aged 65 and above. So some of those men that lost their jobs during that time were faced with enormous financial challenges, while the drug death rates were higher for Black older adults compared to white older adults. So just a stat. So what is reminiscing? Reminiscing is the act of recalling personal experiences, feelings, and events from the past through informal chats with loved ones, family, and friends, or it can be through a more structured exercise with a caregiver. There's many, many ways to reminisce. We're going to go through some, and I'll have some photos of them as well. But using our five senses is one of the biggest things that we all utilize for reminiscing. Smells that bring back memories of something, or photos that you see, things that you hear, music, looking at photos, photo albums. I know Phil's mom was a huge scrapbooker in her life. She made 49 scrapbooks for members of the family. So again, everything included in those. Listening to your favorite music that you had as a youth. Participating in memory cafes. I know I gave this talk to my PEO chapter, and many of them live at Meadowood, and they actually do memory cafes over there for groups of their residents. Using virtual reality or virtual tours, the goggles that you can put on to actually take a trip back to Scotland that you did when you were younger. And then also watching classic movies and sports highlights. So this is our home, lower level, kind of our memory source in our house. Phil has several walls filled with many things from throughout his life, including his professional career as a physician, the activities that he was involved in. That's the one on the far left there. The one at the bottom is his Rotary wall, as well as his DePaul wall. And then all of our IU things, I got relegated to the upstairs, is in our den. So we have much of our memorabilia on those walls. And the kids have kind of chuckled when they see this room, because we feel like we could use it as a visitation parlor when the time comes. Won't have to put everything on the easels in the funeral home, but can have a big party at our house with the memorabilia. Now, the one on the top right is interesting. These are all of our pictures. We've been to many places. We've done lots of things. But unlike Phil's mom, I have failed to put these in scrapbooks or photo albums. So everything is cataloged. We've at least made it that far. And our goal is to really take care of all of these pictures in the next few years. But it gets kind of cumbersome because at Christmas time, when this photo was taken, we had to move everything out of our storage room to get to the Christmas tree. And that was all of these. So they're now back in the storage room, out of sight, out of mind, until winter comes, and hopefully we'll be able to do something with them. School yearbooks, going through those, having those reunions with your classmates, those can all be sources of reminiscing. Watching your favorite movies. Think about the first movie that you went to see at a movie theater as a kid. And then reliving holiday traditions. I know I love getting our Christmas tree out. We collected ornaments from all over the places that we visited. And I love to go through that. And as I put them up, think about where they came from, what we were doing, who we were with at the time. And then another one is looking at what you did during those times, like with baking cookies with your mom or your grandmother. And I know one of our favorites is Easter. Our kids always came for Easter. We'd have a big Easter egg hunt in the yard up at the lake, and Phil would bake a bunny cake, one of the cakes with the icing and the coconut, with the grandkids. And that was always a big event for them to participate in doing that. Hearing impactful songs, as I mentioned, is one that we can all think back on to what we were doing as a teen or maybe at our wedding. Music has a true power that's really been proven to help those patients that suffer from dementia and dementia-related diseases. So having music therapy for those specific types of patients can be a huge benefit. Looking at keepsakes, jewelry, possessions that the family member has, and then also the use of technology, sharing Facebook memories, creating digital scrapbooks, and also diaries. So the top right picture, you probably can't quite tell what that is, but that is a box full of diaries that Philip Newton Eskew has kept since he was 13 years old. So he has every single one of them, and it's like, what do you do with that box? He started actually compiling them when we retired down here in 18 and started a Word document. So he's going back, looking through what he did on that specific day when he was 15 or whatever, and putting it into that Word document at the bottom. So what are the benefits of reminiscing? It preserves our family history. It leaves something for our kids and our grandkids of personal value, keeps our stories alive, encourages seniors to share their stories, and preserves these memories and strengthens our family bonds. It does help improve our coping skills. Recalling past successes and moments of resilience can help deal with current challenges and with a more positive outlook. And it encourages problem-solving skills. It does reduce and has shown in studies to reduce symptoms of depression. Research shows that reminiscing can be an effective tool for easing depression in adults, recalling positive memories, meaningful connections in our lives, and providing a sense of purpose and belonging. Sharing stories with others detracts us from worrying about what's going on. Having fun while sharing memories. And when sharing in a group, we can receive the affirmation of, wow, that's really cool, or that's really great, and promoting positivity. It promotes physical health. Happy memories don't just lift our spirits, they do reduce our stress levels. Again, this has been shown in studies. Chronic stress raises our cortisol levels, which is linked to heart disease, obesity, and immunological problems. By lowering our stress, reminiscing may help support heart health, improve our sleep quality, encourage healthier habits, as well as exercise, nutrition, and relaxation. Reminiscing through storytelling, I threw this research article in that came out in a journal. It's the BMC Geriatrics out of the UK. And while it was a small study population, they really found some great information. The experimental group participated in an 8-week life story intervention using their personal memories and photographs and objects and past experiences. It gave them a platform to reflect on their lives, and the participants' attitudes truly did change about aging, and it improved. Oops, sorry. Need to head out of that one. So in this picture, some of you may be familiar with these. The top two are from a company called Storyworth. I don't know if anybody's done a Storyworth book. Anybody in here besides Phil? Good. But this is something online that you sign up for, you register, and every week they send you a question and you answer it. You can also change the question. You can add your own. You can put in pictures. At the end of the year time that you've done this, then they will publish your book for you and send it to you. And it's a great, great reminder. The bottom one is actually very similar, but it's for grandkids. So grandparents will do this one for their grandkids. So the findings on that study actually showed that the experimental group had a significant increase in positive attitudes toward aging compared to that of the control group. Fostering that positive attitude is key for enhancing psychological well-being and successful aging. Ageism for many people kind of equates with being older, and giving us a feeling of incompetence, helplessness, and illness. But the experimental group demonstrated that this isn't true. It gave them increased awareness of age-related changes and made them the ability to adapt to those changes. So other things you could do, write a book. This is a book called I Remember When, that Phil's mother wrote at the age of 89, following her 55th wedding anniversary. She wanted to have something to give to her grandchildren to remember her, and she spoke to things that happened in her life during that time. So Phil had it bound, and we gave it to all the grandchildren who've all read it, and they've passed it on to their children now. So a huge remembrance for a great, great lady. You can do journaling, just writing to yourself. Many of us did that as kids, keeping our own little journal diaries. But reminiscing isn't just storytelling. It's a powerful way to improve mental, emotional, and physical health. For all of us, sharing memories strengthens relationships, preserves our histories, and enriches our daily life. Being encouraged to reflect on the moments that shaped us will show us the joy and wisdom those moments bring. So, if you remember Phil's box of diaries, it's coming to a bookseller near you in late 2026. He's got a publisher. He's finished putting everything into that Word document that you saw the first 2 pages of earlier. And so we're kind of excited about this. He's not sure who's going to read it, but it's got some great information and reflections of life in it. And I think it'll be fun. So you're going to help me with this. The final one that I want to share with you is called Ottavy Memory Banks. This was an app is an app program that was developed by our niece who lives on the East Coast. And she did this because her mother developed Alzheimer's disease, and she wanted to capture moments with her mother that were still her mother. And it's a great app to use. This is actually my brother-in-law who's passed was Herb Kleiman, and this was her father-in-law. So if you want to click maybe on the college, but you can see you go in and the app will ask you questions. You have 2 minutes to answer, and then you can upload it and put pictures in it and whatever else you want. Just hit play and they can get an idea of the first one. It's really cool because it keeps
I went to MIT is
their voice.
I had read a book about Paul Dirac, who was, one of the great physicists of the 1930s and helped to invent quantum mechanics. And it talked a little bit about quantum mechanics. And that just fascinated me. It was such a strange thing that I decided the way things worked in those days is the dean of men told you which college you could go to. That is, he had a certain number of slots from Harvard, MIT, Princeton, all of those. So he was your guidance counselor as to where you could go to college. And I felt a little bit bad about going to MIT because if I'd gone to Columbia, or RPI, since they were in New York State, I would have had a scholarship there. I graduated from MIT, and I wanted to get to the West Coast, so I had applied to, but I was trying to.
So you can see that you decide what you want to put in there. You decide your chapters. You ask your questions, and it tapes your voice, which is something that I really, really miss from my mom and dad, is hearing them talk. So Phil's working on his, so I have his, and I'm working on mine, so our kids have mine. But I think it's a great, great app that's easy to download and easy to use, as well as putting in pictures from the past. So I'll take questions. Am I good on questions? Anybody? Jeff? Yes, sir. Maybe.
Thank you.
Oh, I don't know. Can you put that resource? Okay. Yes, I can share it. I can send it to you, Steve, if you want. Yes, ma'am. Michelle? Sorry.
One of the things that I've learned from my family is that the younger generation is really not at all interested in anything that you have in your home. None of the antiques, none of the reminiscent,
right.
none of the they just don't want it at all. Their life is very different. So how do we handle that? And what do we do with our things that we appreciate?
Well, like we've done, we're getting rid of a lot of those things, but I think the books or the Audivi app, not that I'm trying to sell an app, but that app is something that they can have access to. And I know Herb's kids have all done an actual app presentation with theirs that they did for their dad on Father's Day. So they've gotten involved in that, and they're getting their children involved in that as well. So I can't give you any better, because our kids don't want our stuff either. But maybe the app, maybe the book. Yes, sir.
There was this lady who is my nephew's wife, started this. Her mother was in the nursing home.
Right.
And she went over there and asked her mother, says, "What do you remember about your wedding?" "Well, this," and talked about it. She came back a week later and she played it for her mother. And her mother said, "That's my voice." "Well, you didn't tell me about this. You didn't tell me about the folks that came." And then she went on and on and on and talked about all the memories that were stimulated from hearing her voice. So she's the one that has this thing. I mean, it's great. And you say your kids don't want anything? That may be true. But you heard what Ann said, how I miss hearing their voice. And it's something that kids at some point in their life will want to know. Can you all think of the things you wish you would ask your father or your mother? Oh, my. I just had another 30 minutes.
Yep.
And thank you for your talk. So I'm the youngest of five. We've lost our oldest sister, but it's interesting, of the four of us remaining, when we get together in, two of us or three of us or four of us and share memories, one, how they're different, and then also how our personalities, there are two of us who are definitely glasses almost full, and there's one glasses is empty. It's just really interesting. We had many of the same experiences, but we remember different things, and we certainly look at them in different ways. But for my one sister, whose memories tend to be negative, I actually think in her case, when we talk about things, it doesn't really help her. So can you maybe comment for those who have lots of bad memories, the positives and negatives about reminiscing?
Is she older than you?
Yeah, she's 8 years older.
Okay. Um, just from a medical standpoint, that's her trigger. And there's probably nothing that you can really do to change that other than making sure that you continue to include her in the discussions. And maybe between the other three of you, you can make light of the fact that, well, I don't remember it that way, or I do remember it that way. But to kind of calm that trigger a little bit. Triggers, especially with people that may be having some stressors in their lives and have some, I won't say dementia, but forgetting or not remembering some of the things. If she's feeling that because she doesn't remember that, that's a huge trigger. Yes, Jeff. Oh,
And
sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I keep forgetting.
I would also say to piggyback on that is I think it also matters about birth order because the context in which I grew up, and I'm the oldest, was very different in the context. My two younger sisters, one is 4 years younger than I am, the other is 10. And their combined experience, because they mostly grew up in California when my parents had more money, made things quite a bit different.
Interesting.
Just build on Steve's point. In addition to focusing on the person who's having bad memories or memory issues, what's your advice for also people who are living with people who are having these issues, the caregivers, the loved ones? What advice or guidance do you give them as this journey continues?
There's a lot of great resources out there from the Alzheimer's Association. That's one place to go. But I think learning as much as you can. They also have a really great support structure on that website that can connect you with people via Zoom. If you can get into a support group around here, also, that would be a good thing to do just to support that journey because everybody's is different. And it does take a lot of work to really be accepting of things. I know when I first moved my mom into a facility, it was really tough for me because they didn't want me to come and visit. They wanted her to get used to the facility. And I was used to seeing her every day, sitting with her while she ate, doing all sorts of things. And when I went back, when I was allowed to go back, I realized that that was her new family, even though she knew I was her daughter and that I was visiting, but those were the people that were taking care of her. So it's a hard journey, but it's one that I would never trade. Her last moments were some of the most special in my life. She loved music. She loved listening to prayers. And that's how she left this earth. So knowing that and working with that really helped.
I just have a very basic question about the app. Is the information just all cloud-based, or can you actually download and preserve that yourself?
It's all cloud-based, isn't it, Phil? Yes.
Hi there. I used one of my husband's children kept wanting him to give them his memories. They sent him tape recorders. They did this. He just did not want to do it. I finally realized he was not going to do it, but he would talk to me about his memories and I would write them down. We got one of those books services and we had questions and I'd ask him and he'd answer and I'd write something and read it to him and then he'd edit it and say no, and the year after we didn't finish the questions before he died. But my year of grieving, I put the book together.
Good.
And sometimes I asked his children for a particular memory or a friend. And I gave that to them on their birthdays
great.
and they were very grateful.
Yeah. I will tell you that with the app, when we first learned about it, we were visiting out east, and our daughter or our nephew's wife came and was at the apartment and was asking Phil questions. Herb and Liz were sitting there in the living room, and she asked Phil some questions, not knowing that she was recording it. And so then she played it back. And so you can sneak in that phone a little bit with that recording and capture those voices. But that's how we actually found out about the program itself. Okay. Thank you. Thanks so much.
And thank you. You're obviously aging with grace and competence. In honor of your talk, a donation will be made this quarter to Wheeler Mission. I'd like to thank today's volunteers, Katie Cerniak, Peggy Frisbee, Phil Eskew, Lori Garrity, Judy Schroeder, Bob Zaltzberg, Michael Shermis, Jeff Richardson, Amy Osajima, and Alan Barker. Don't forget, we won't be here next week. We will be at the Bryan Park Woodlawn Shelter, noon to 1. There'll be no Zoom next week, so please attend the club picnic if you're able to. Tyler, would you share the graphic for the four-way test? And please stand if you're able. Of the things we think, say, or do, first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And fifth, is it fun?